We just getting started, baby. Did anybody see what Mr. Wardell Steph Curry did to the Portland Trailblazers? They were nobodies. They beat the Giants. Trash. They beat the Broncos. Trash. If you ever watched Dragon Ball Z, my man's was Super Saiyan. I couldn't wear this until we actually caught a dub. And he did all of this damage in 36 minutes. Let that sink in. They beat the Eagles, trash. The Cowboys, trash. The Bengals, trash. The Jaguars, trash. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here on Rob's 2 Cents. My good people, my good people. Hello, world. I'd like to welcome you guys back to the show that's hot with your boy, Rob Scott. This is Rob's 2 Cents. What's going on, everybody? Hope you guys had a great weekend. Hope you had a relaxing weekend, productive weekend, and whatever choice of avenue that you had to do, whether it was just, chilling out with the fam, going out with friends, or even if you had to go into work. Hope you definitely enjoyed the weekend, got your rest in, ready to hit today hard. Whew, it's Monday. I know when you guys see this, it'll be Tuesday. Let's just make it through the week. We got to do what we got to do. As for me, I had a pretty great weekend, man. Got to relax a little bit on Sunday. Caught up with an old friend on Saturday. Got to the gun range. That's always a good time. It's definitely a good stress reliever. Just, shooting a couple rounds, at the range, practicing your craft because, people walking around with these firearms, you got to stay responsible. And you have to remember, you want to be able to use what you have, So definitely, keeping my mind sharp with that. Plans didn't go how we wanted to go Saturday evening, but we still had fun all the same. And then Sunday, I rested for a little bit. I had family in town. I had my uncle, my auntie in town. One of my uncles just had surgery, so also checking up on him, and we had a great time. Got to see one of my father's baby pictures and saw how much he looks just like me, or I look just like him. So if you guys don't know, didn't know my father too well. He passed away when I was at an early age, but. Got I'm slowly but surely learning more and more about him, through my family or, watching my brothers, watching my sister, and like, oh, yeah, that's probably why I got that from. But it was a good time. It's always a good time when you get to go see family, especially right now living through these COVID streets. Hope you guys enjoyed yourself too. Also had some great games over the weekend. Saw somebody get the bejesus knocked out of them. We got a lot to talk about on today's episode of Rob's 2 Cents. So make sure you guys sit down, relax, grab your popcorn, your alcoholic beverage, or whatever vice you decide you want to do. Kick your feet up and tune in to the hottest sports conversation in the nation, y'all. Let's dive right into it because I believe right now that the Los Angeles Clippers is a very scary team. They are very scary, y'all. I mean, we knew adding Rondo would definitely, bring the leadership that they were lacking. I didn't even realize that they bought in Boogie Cousins. And say what you want to about DeMarcus, man. Injury, it has derailed him from being the player that he once was. But when in his prime, Boogie was a dog. And I still believe he has enough to aid the Clippers on their quest for gold. Right now, the Clippers are clicking at the right time. The Los Angeles Clippers are 8-2 in their last 10 games and 4-1 in their last 5 games. They currently sit in third place in the Western Conference with a record of 40-19. Keep in mind, the big man, Serge Ibaka, or as we call him, Ibaka, He hasn't played since March 14th due to a bad back. And Kawhi Leonard has also been in and out of the lineup with a sore foot. He was out for 4 games during this stretch of games that we're going to talk about. And then not to mention Paul George also missed a game. He's also been dealing with a nagging toe injury. You know, injuries have derailed a lot of teams this NBA season. You know, however, the Clippers have continued to raise their level of play, and it's happening at the right time. As you know, they just showing other teams just how much of a deep team they are. Because when you're missing players like Kawhi, when you're missing players like Paul George or Serge Ibaka, they are so deep as a team that they're able to just plug other players in and keep this train going. There are only 13 games left in their regular season as they begin preparing for the playoffs. And the Clippers know, hey, it's either championship or bust. They, making it to the playoffs is not good enough. Making it to the Western Conference Finals is not good enough. This team was put together. You know, the Clippers put all their eggs in one basket by bringing Kawhi, letting the Kawhi negotiate the terms of the deal by saying, hey, if I come, you have to bring in Paul George. I need a B to my A. I need a Robin to my Batman. And, you know, the Clippers, definitely obliged. And then, of course, bringing in Rondo really shows that the Clippers are all in. But let's look at the last 5 games for the Clips. And we're going to talk about what's going right for this team. First up was a game against the Detroit Pistons. Now, this was a great game, ladies and gentlemen, as the Clippers had to rally in the fourth to get the 131-124 victory. In this game, Kawhi Leonard, Serge Ibaka, or Pat Beverly did not play in this game. But let me tell you who did play in this game. My boy, one of the twins, Marcus Morris Sr., scored a season high of 33 points. He was 13 of 18 from the field, 6 of 8 from distance. He also had 6 rebounds and 1 steal. Had an awesome game. Paul George didn't have his best night from distance as he shot 1 of 5 from the three-point line. However, he did score 32 points, and he shot 12 of 25 from the field, almost at 50%. And he also had 9 assists and 1 steal to go along with his box score. Nicholas Batum, who has been a great pickup for this team, he scored 14 points as he was 5 of 6 from the field, including 4 of 5 from distance, and it was actually his 3 that put the Clippers in the lead in the fourth, and they did not look back. Rondo also chipped in with 10 points, and he was 2 of 5 from distance to go with 6 assists. Rondo, I really feel he's been pacing himself, still trying to figure out this team where he can plug in and do his most damage at, which I can tell you guys right now, when those playoffs start, Rondo, we will see a significant increase in Rondo's numbers. And Nicholas Batum, before they actually got Rondo, as I mentioned in previous videos, he was actually playing the point forward for this team because Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, they can pass the ball, they can make, but being a playmaker is not their primary job, as far as for the Clippers. Now, next, the Clippers will go on a 3-game road trip in the East, in the Eastern Conference, playing teams in the Eastern Conference. The first pit stop will be in Indiana. They'll beat the Pacers 126-115. By the way, this was their 6th consecutive win. Indy will only have the lead in the first, and the Clippers will go on to win the next 3 quarters. The Clips were led in scoring by must-see PG-13. Paul George, as he scored 36 points. He was 13 of 25 from the field, 4 of 7 from the three-point line, 8 assists, 7 rebounds, 2 steals. I mean, you want to talk about putting up numbers. Paul George say, I put up numbers. Got to see this in the postseason, though. But Paul George do put up numbers. Marcus Morris Sr., who's pretty much becoming, I want to say, the third scorer for this team. You might have to look at the Clippers as a big 3, and you have to include Marcus Morris Sr. in there because right now he's playing some of the better basketball of his career. He scored 22 points. He was 9 of 12 from the field, 3 of 3 from the three-point line. Perfection. And also, he brought in 7 rebounds. Nicholas Batum also had a huge night defensively, as he had 5 blocks to go along with his 14 points. So the defense of the Clippers, which we know is their calling card, they're finally starting to get it together and lock in on teams. And the Clippers right now are playing some great defense on these teams that they're playing. Then they would defeat the Detroit Pistons again, this time on Detroit's home turf. This will be a game that showed just how deep the Clippers are as a team, because not only did Kawhi not play again, Pat Beverly didn't play again, Serge didn't play again, but now Marcus Morris Sr. didn't play this game, not due to injury, just was getting the rest, and Paul George didn't play this game. As I mentioned, he has a nagging toe injury. And the Clippers were still able to get the 100-98 victory off a game winner from none other than my boy Reggie Jackson, who hit a jumper with like 2.5 seconds left on the clock. They had to rally back from an 11-point deficit. Reggie Jackson had a great game scoring. He had 29 points, including a game winner, and shot 12 of 24 from the field, including 3 of 6 from the three-point line. Ivica Zubac, he also would show up, the big center down there, had 18 points, 13 rebounds, 2 steals, and 1 block. And Luke Kennard, also a former Detroit native, had 17 points, not Detroit native, but he played for the Detroit Pistons, had 17 points and 10 rebounds, but he had a horrible shooting night from the field, as he went 5 of 17 and was 1 of 6 from the three-point line. So he had 17 points, but it took him 17 shots to get there. I mean, but hey, when you got Reggie Jackson turning up like that, we know that the Clippers can score in bunches. And with Rondo there, you actually kind of put Reggie Jackson back at his natural position, because he's more of a scoring guard. He's not really a playmaker. He's not really, I won't say playmaker, but he's not a distributor. He's not a floor general. Reggie Jackson, he's definitely a player that you go in and say, I need a bucket, and he'll get you one. Then there will be a matchup in this 4th game we're going to discuss that could possibly be a finals preview, as the Clippers will go up against the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, Kawhi, Serge, or Pat would not be available for the Clips, and Tobias Harris and Dwight Howard was not active for the 76ers. However, it was still just too much of Joel Embiid, as we know he's an MVP candidate, pretty much going head-to-head with the Joker. Embiid has been having a great year, putting up SL Lin, as he would say on Inside the NBA, which is Shaq-like numbers, and he is dominating dominating other teams as far as centers go. He can do it from all 3 phases of the court. He can post you up down low. He can hit that jumper from mid-court, and he also can stretch you out, take you to the three-point line, and he's a great three-point shooter as well. On this night, Joel Embiid would just go crazy. He went for 36 points. He grabbed 14 boards for the 76ers, and he led them to a 106-103 victory. Paul George tried. He put his best foot forward, gave his best effort. He would go for 37 points to lead all scorers, but his three-point game was off, as he would shoot 14. He shot 14 to 29 from the field, but he was 4-12 from the three-point line. He will also have 6 assists, 9 rebounds, 1 steal, 2 blocks, but he had 7 turnovers, and that was just because he had the ball primarily too much in his hands. However, the Clippers will come back and take out their frustrations on the Minnesota Timberwolves, because they would destroy them, just flat out dominate. And they will beat the Timberwolves 124-105. The Clippers had a balanced attack. They was once again led by Paul George in scoring. He scored 23 points. He was 9-17 from the field, including 4-9 from distance, 5 assists, 7 rebounds, 2 steals, 1 block. Kawhi Leonard was back active in the lineup. He had an okay game, great game, I guess, as far as, coming back after missing those 4 games. He had scored 15 points, 8 assists, 11 rebounds, and 1 block. And then Marcus Morris Sr. also made his return back to the lineup after just a day of rest. He scored 19 points. He was 7-12 from the field, 5-7 from the three-point line, 6 rebounds, 1 steal. Based off this, Marcus Morris is a great shooter. Marcus Morris Sr. is a great shooter. I mean, we had one where he was perfect. He was 3-3. We had one where he was 5-6. Now on this one, he's 5-7 from the three-point line. Marcus Morris is showing that he is ready to step up when the time needs for him to step up, and he is definitely not afraid of that moment. Also, kind of like an enforcer on this team, as we know the Morris twins are mean, and them might not be your first option of people that you want to step up to. As mentioned, as great as the Clippers are playing in this regular season, and they are playing great, like I said, currently sitting in third in the Western Conference, sitting behind Utah and sitting behind the Phoenix Suns. It doesn't mean anything if they don't win a ring. If the Clippers do not win a ring, then this season was for nothing. They have a lot of corrections that they need to do. They have to right a wrong that I'm pretty sure left a sour taste in their mouth last season. And they created this because they're the ones that blew a 3-1 lead against the Denver Nuggets. You know, they said they didn't want to be in the bubble. They clearly showed that they didn't want to be in the bubble. We know what happened with Lemon Pepper Lou. And we just know that the Clippers did not show mental fortitude inside of the bubble. And, you know, like I mentioned early in the show, making it to the Western Conference Finals, it won't matter. They need to make it to the finals. They need to be playing for a championship in order for this season to be successful. However, with the additions of Batum, Ibaka, DeMarcus Cousins, and Rondo, they're definitely a better team than they were last season, and they look to be more of a threat this season as the postseason approaches. But there's a team right now that's even hotter than the Clippers, because Boston is on the rise right now, as the Celtics have now won 6 games in a row, and that's tied with the New York Knickerbockers for the longest active winning streak in the league. With the return of Marcus Smart from injury, they have played much better defensively as a team. Right now, the Boston Celtics are ranked 10th in opponents' points per game, only allowing teams to score 110.5 points a game, and they have their 2 stars in Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown to lead the charge in the scoring department. Tatum is averaging 26 points a game, including the recent game against Minnesota, where he scored a season high and a career high 53 points. Cinco tres. You did not hear me wrong. 53. Or how you say it? 20, 30, 40, 50. So 53. That boy went crazy. Meanwhile, Jaylen Brown, on the other hand, he's averaging 24.6 points a game. And you want to talk about 2 studs. Both of these boys will take you to the rim. They're both athletic to finish at the rim. I've even been watching Jaylen Brown sometimes just bully his way past other 2 guards in this league. So he's definitely showing that his game has tremendously improved. Not to mention their last 4 games have all been against Western Conference playoff contenders. Let's look at their last few games on this streak. On April 13th, the Celtics would defeat the Portland Trail Blazers in a very close and contested game from start to finish. I mean, from the time the ball was tipped off, these teams came to play. The final score was 116 to 115. Tatum led all scorers with 32 points. He was 10 of 17 from the field, 4-7 from the three-point line, 5 assists, 9 rebounds, 1 steal, 1 block. My boy Jaylen Brown came in, didn't have the best shooting night. He scored 24 points. He was 9 of 21 from the field. He had 2 assists, 4 rebounds, and 1 steal. And Kemba Walker, who has been stepping up big lately, scored 21 points. He was 7 of 17 from the field. He had 7 assists, 8 rebounds, and 1 steal. They was out there playing, y'all. Excuse me. The Celtics are playing some great basketball right now. And then we would see an old rivalry get more fuel added to that fire, because the Lakers would then go against the Boston Celtics, and the Celtics would be able to hold off defeating the Lakers 121 to 113 after almost blowing a 27-point lead. Jaylen Brown was still the show. He scored 40 points, shooting an amazing 17 of 20 from the field, including 3 of 5 from the three-point line. He also had 3 assists, 9 rebounds, and 1 steal. Jason Tatum had 14 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. This was a great game, you guys. You have to remember in this game, I don't believe Drummond played this game. And the Lakers were very, very short-handed. And I want to say maybe late in the third, beginning of the fourth, the coach had put all his what's his name, Brad Stevens. Coach Brad Stevens had put all his starters on the bench, and I want to say Contavious Caldwell Pope and THT Taylor Horton Tucker would lead the charge. I mean, I think they went on like a 20-2 10-2 run, 20-2 run, something like that. And Coach Brad Stevens was like, "Hold on, wait, I got to bring the starters back in because these boys out here playing. We thought we was about to just reel it up and call it one, and pat each other on the back in the locker room. But it looked like it was still more basketball to be played. Hey, like I always say, the game ain't over until that final score, that final time reads 0.00. That's when the game over. Until then, you got to keep playing. But it was a game against the Warriors that put the world on notice about the Boston Celtics because Steph Curry and Jason Tatum would put on a show. And they had an epic duel as they would just continue to go back and forth with scoring. Each one of those guys scoring big buckets. The Celtics would defeat the Warriors 119-114 and survive the amazing scoring put forth by Steph Curry. Curry has 47 points off 11-19 shooting from the field, including 6 of 8 from distance. You got to be a hell of a player to stop an onslaught like that. Luckily for the Celtics, they had Jason Tatum, who will have a great game himself, because he would score 44 points, 16-25 from the field, including 5 of 9 from the three-point line. Also to bring in 3 assists, 10 rebounds, and 2 steals. You want to talk about two guys cooking. You want to talk about two guys hot. Jason Tatum and Steph Curry was out there putting on the show for the NBA fans, and I hope you guys enjoyed every minute of it because I sure did. Kemba Walker will also contribute in the scoring department by adding 26 points himself. He will also have 3 steals, 8 rebounds, and 2. He would have 3 assists, 8 rebounds, and 2 steals. They was out there playing, y'all. I don't believe Jaylen Brown played in this game. The Celtics right now are just playing great basketball. There's no other way around it. They're looking like the team that we expected them to be after that epic run a couple seasons ago when they made it all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals without Kyrie. And then they made it again to the Eastern Conference Finals last year in the bubble, but they'll lose to Miami in 6 games. 2 questions for Boston. Can Boston finally make it over the hump and get to the NBA Finals? And in this situation, this season, can Boston make it to the second round? Make it out of the second round? Because if they don't move up in their ranking, you're going to be playing a team possibly like the New York Knicks or the Miami Heat. And I don't think those are 2 teams that any team want to see in the first round, especially with the New York Knicks, man. Derrick Rose, who I'm just so happy for this guy, being a Chicago native myself. I'm so happy for Derrick Rose that he's able to, bounce back, and he's been having such a great game. I was just watching a game between the New York Knicks and the Pelicans on Sunday evening, and Zion, he put on a show, and I thought the Pelicans were gonna pull it out, but just to see how Derrick Rose and Julius Randle were just going to work on them boys. Derrick Rose had the key pass to Bullock that sent the game into overtime. Why they didn't foul Derrick Rose, or I don't know. I mean, if you got a foul to give, you don't let them hit a 3-point shot because that's what they need. Even if you don't foul Derrick Rose, let them have an easy lane to the hoop, and then we just play the free throw game. But you guys elect to try to collapse him as he drove to the paint, and he kicked it out to a Reggie Bullock, who knocked it down. He knocked down the 3, man. I'm just so happy for Derrick Rose. Y'all don't understand. If y'all get a chance, just go on YouTube or NBA.com. Just watch some of Derrick Rose classic games. I mean, this dude, if he didn't get injured, the Bulls right now would have a championship. Unfortunately, he got injured and he was going up against LeBron, who went to form the super team in Miami, and we just could not get past them, boy. We was like really one score away. I was really excited that season to see Rose playing with Rip. I know Rip was in the latter stage of his career, but he was still better than what we had, and Keith Bogans and Ronnie Brewer. I mean, Rip, he can still run off those screens and hit those shots, hit those jumpers, those middies. So, it's just amazing to see. We saw Derrick Rose with the Timberwolves. He had like a 50-point game, and now we see what he's able to do with the Knicks. After coming back from having COVID, Derrick Rose is showing that he still got some game left in him. And, he is making this Knicks team right now, being reunited with Coach Tom Thibodeau, he is making this Knicks team a very scary team. Just something to look out for in this Eastern Conference playoffs, baby, because the playoffs will be starting in about 2-3 weeks. So, we definitely going to have a playoff special here on Rob's 2 Cents to go over what teams made it to the playoffs, especially when the play-in tournament is over and we actually know what teams are going to be participating in this year's playoffs. We got some exciting times ahead of us, y'all. Hope you guys ready, because I am. And we got some quick hitters to go over before we end the show. Yesterday, or Sunday evening, KD suffered another injury in the first quarter versus the Miami Heat. He was diagnosed with a thigh contusion, and he did not play the rest of the game. So, and this happened with only 4 minutes going into the game, because it was still like 7 minutes and 57 seconds as he was heading back to the locker room. It's tough to see that because, everybody, waiting on James Harden to come back from his hamstring injury. And, KD had already missed 33 games in total for the Nets this season, including 23 in a row, dealing with a sore hamstring. So to see him come back, and then I think he played 2 or 3 games, and now he's back on the shelf. It's tough, man. It's tough, and this could not come at a worse time because, as I just mentioned, they're already missing James Harden, who's dealing with that hamstring, and then LaMarcus Aldridge, who just retired from the NBA because of heart complications. So, right now it just feels like the powerhouse known as the Brooklyn Nets are starting to look human. They're starting to look like they can be beat. And I'm pretty sure right now Philadelphia is smiling and rubbing their hands because as they get injured, Philly gets healthy. Joel Embiid is back. Got Tobias Harris back. I mean, right now, if you compare rosters, you cannot deny that the Philadelphia 76ers does not have a great roster. A starting five that can compete with all starting fives in the league. When you look at Seth Curry, you look at Danny Green, you look at Tobias Harris, Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid. We're talking about a B squad here, y'all. So, the Nets are going to I'm prayerfully hoping nothing is wrong with KD. Maybe he sits out a couple games, he's able to come back. But I believe that might be what's hurting him. The fact that, you're trying to not do the mistake that Golden State did by bringing him back too early. But I think you're sitting him too long. I don't care how much in shape you are. Practice speed or just shooting around in the court is different from that NBA speed. I couldn't imagine, how fast-paced that game is, sitting out for 3-4 months and then coming back trying to get into the swing of things, and then, you bump knees with somebody and you right out the game again. So hopefully the Nets can get that together and can get everybody back healthy, because I definitely want to see the Philadelphia 76ers versus the Brooklyn Nets in the Eastern Conference Finals. I just feel like that's the matchup everybody is hoping is going to happen. Also, KD is in news because he was on Gilly the Kid's podcast. Gilly the Kid is a Philadelphia rapper, for the ladies and gentlemen who doesn't know. And he has his own podcast, and it's a pretty good podcast. I've seen a couple episodes of it, but I've seen the clip in which they pretty much asked KD, list your top 5 best teammates that you played with. And he completely omitted Russell Westbrook's name from that list. Now, I can imagine him not saying that he wanted to play with Draymond, as we know they had bad blood. And Especially Draymond calling him the B word and, pretty much calling him out in front of the world because this was happening during the game, calling him out his name, letting him know, hey, we did this before you got here. We were winning rings before you got here. Yeah, granted, we called you because of, we went up against the juggernaut known as GM Bron, but you came over here to a team that was already winning. We was champions before you got here. We won a ring before you got here. We were 73-9 before you got here. So don't come over here thinking that I can't bring the ball up the court. Even though Draymond, I believe, was wrong in that situation. And the game is on the line. I don't care if it's a regular season game in January. When the game is on the line, you want your best player to have the ball in his hands. And I believe, Draymond felt some type of way about the fact that KD called him out for that. But KD had every right. He's the person that won Finals MVP 2 years in a row. And we clearly saw, even when he was injured, when he came in for that little short time against the Raptors, he was like perfect. He scored like 11 quick points, 12 quick points. Like, it didn't take him long to score at all, and then he went down with the Achilles. And even if you look in the Brooklyn game, before he went down with the knee contusion or the injury to his thigh, he was 3 of 3 from the field. He scored like the first 8 points for the Brooklyn Nets before he went down. And that's in 4 minutes of play. So yes, KD is that dude, and he should have had the ball in his hand. But let me tell you guys the list. He said, of course, he mentioned Kyrie is number 1. James Harden is number 2. Steph is number 3, which, in my personal opinion, Steph was the best teammate he played with. Their games just meshed with each other so perfectly because neither one of those players have to have the ball in their hand. And I'm going to tell you right now, KD is going to miss playing with the Golden State Warriors. He mentioned Serge Ibaka as number 4, and he mentioned Klay Thompson as number 5. So you got one of the guys that does the podcast with Gilly the Kid. He looks and he says, "Ain't you forgetting somebody? Ain't you?" I'm not even gonna mention it. I'm not even gonna mention it because he knew it. And then they finally mentioned it to KD. Like, well, what about Westbrook? And KD like literally acts like he forgot that he played with Russell. You played with Russell Westbrook for 8 years, bro. Y'all went to 2 Western Conference Finals together. You went to an NBA Finals together. Russell Westbrook was your boy that you were defending when people were saying that, he's going to make you leave town and that you can't win a ring with him. You defended him. Granted, you left bogus, by not letting him know, but you were well in your right to leave. You wasn't going to win a ring with Russell Westbrook. We seen that. He went to Houston. They didn't play well. He played with Paul George while he was with OKC. They just didn't mesh well together. Now we look at him and Bradley Beal. They don't mesh well together. Hence, the Wizards are not even in playoff contention. And we're talking about a Bradley Beal that's leading the NBA in scoring right now. So we understand that, you didn't feel you would win a ring with Russell. But don't sit up here and act like this man ain't great. Don't act like Russell ain't just average a triple-double for like 3 seasons and won the MVP in one of those seasons. In spite of you leaving. Then you came out and won the MVP. So how can you forget a name like that? It's just wild. I know that was a subliminal shot. I thought that the relationship with Russell Westbrook and KD was getting better. I know they'll never be the same that they were back when they played together. But I thought it was getting better. So for him to leave Russell off the list, and I'm just going to be real, Draymond is better than Serge. I like Serge Ibaka a lot. But Draymond is a defensive player of the year, and he's pretty much the point forward for the Golden State Warriors. Serge Ibaka is not better than Draymond. But I can understand why you would omit Draymond. I just didn't get it with Russell Westbrook. But to each his own. Also in news, we saw another celebrity boxing match. YouTube sensation Jake Paul went against Ben Askren, a former MMA fighter who fought for one championship, Bellator, and then fought for the UFC where he would retire from. Jake Paul knocked him out in the first round. I mean, it was just nasty. He Nate Robinson, my man. He knocked the bejesus out of him. You want to talk about somebody soul disappear? That man's soul disappeared from his body. And Ben Askren, no, he came in bogus. I know this is a celebrity fight, but you're an athlete. You're a collegiate gold medalist wrestling champion. I mean, you're an athlete. You know, regardless if this is a celebrity match or not, I would have expected him to come into this matchup in better shape. He looked like me out there. I mean, I'm not in the best shape in the world at all. So if I go out there in the boxing ring, you know, I'm prepared to know that one of these boxers are going to knock me the hell out. And that's exactly what happened to Ben Askren. Now, a lot of people are saying that this fight was rigged, and here's why. We're talking about a Ben Askren who was a former welterweight champion in both Bellator and One Championship, who had a record of 22, 2-1. I believe he had like 16 knockouts. And you got knocked out by a YouTuber. Somebody got some explaining to do. After all that mess he was talking, you get in this ring with Jake Paul, and he knocks you out. There's nothing else around that situation. Excuse the sirens, ladies and gentlemen. Excuse the sirens. They doing their job, and I'm doing mine. But Ben Askren was shame on you, Ben. Shame on you for letting Jake Paul talk that talk and then get in the ring and walk that walk. On you. On you. Shame on you, Ben. You're a former you're a former welterweight champion in MMA. You have to have more pride than that. And I know boxing is not your skill. You're a wrestler. I don't care. You got 16 knockouts on your record. So you can throw your hands somewhat, and you've been training longer than a Jake Paul. Guess that goes to show you folks, in a sport like boxing, all it takes is one lucky punch. Also, Alex Smith announced his retirement from the NFL today, which is crazy because he was just named Comeback Player of the Year last season for leading the Washington football team. They had some quarterback issues. Dwayne Haskins, as we know, was released from the team most recently, but he wasn't playing all that good of football. I believe I can't remember what the reserve name was. He was out injured, so Alex Smith came back, and he led that Washington team to 5-1 within that stretch of games that he played, and they ended 7-9, of course, making it to the playoffs, where they would lose to the Super Bowl champions, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he didn't play in that game, which was real sad. But we thought Alex Smith, he was released by the Washington football team. We thought that he was gonna kind of make a comeback. I know he said he was real interested in possibly playing for Jacksonville. I can think of a couple of teams right now, the Chicago Bears, that could have used a quarterback like Alex Smith. Even though he's injury prone, he's definitely a better quarterback than what we have currently. He was the number 1 overall pick in the 2005 NFL draft, where he was selected by San Francisco 49ers. He played very well for that team up until he was replaced by Colin Kaepernick. Power to the people. He would then also have a stint with both the Kansas City Chiefs, where he would earn 3 Pro Bowl selection and then finish his career, of course, with the Washington football team. He had a career record of 99, 67-1, a passer rating of 86.9, and a touchdown interception ratio of 199 to 109. So he definitely wasn't a turnover artist. His 99 wins are the 5th most of any quarterback selected number 1 overall in the common draft era. He's only trailing behind Peyton Manning, John Elway, and Eli Manning and Terry Bradshaw. Alex Smith also joined Brett Favre as the only quarterback since 1950 to start on 3 or more teams that have a record with each one, proving that while he wasn't a superstar, he was indeed a winner. I hope you enjoy retirement, brother Alex Smith. I appreciate your years of service in the football, the sports and entertainment industry, playing football and entertaining the millions and millions of people around the world that love the game. Have a good one, brother. Is Alex Smith worthy of the Hall of Fame? I would definitely say no, but he definitely played. He did his job. He played good enough football to be recognized as a winner in this league. And then lastly, before we end the show, just want to send my thoughts and prayers with a Chicago star, Scottie Pippen, as we know, part of that legendary Bulls team that went 6-0 in the NBA Finals, played alongside Michael Jordan, probably the greatest 1-2 punch in NBA history, in sports history. Um, he lost his oldest son, Antron Pippen, who ironically was crazy, died at the age of 33. And you guys know that Scottie Pippen wore the number 33. So our thoughts and prayers are definitely with him. I know it's never easy for somebody to, lose a child, no matter what age they become. It's never easy to bury your kids. So my thoughts are with him, his family, the mother, and everybody who had love for Antron Pippen. Continue to rest peacefully, brother. And our thoughts and prayers are with your family. And that's the end of my show, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you guys for sticking around. As you guys know, I know I missed the show last week because I was ill, but I just want to make that announcement that I will be going live on Facebook now every Friday, doing a live show. And I have so much fun doing that, getting to converse with friends or people that follow the show. Got quite a few people that follow the show. Why y'all ain't subscribing, I don't know. But it's okay. I still got love for you all the same. But it's definitely fun. You guys know I sit up here and I do this by myself. So it's when I get a little interaction, to answer questions or to give you my take on something hot that's happening in sports right now. I definitely love to do that. Hope you guys have a great rest of the week. I got some big things I'm working on in my personal life. So I'll probably be hopefully making announcements soon about how I will continue to do the show. But you guys, don't fret. Rob's 2 cents is not going anywhere. I love what I do. This is my passion. This is where my calling is. And I love you guys. I love the fact that you support me to step outside of my box and to do something different, to do something that's gonna hopefully bring me the results that I wanted, bring me the dream that I want to live. What they say, if you want something you never had, you got to be willing to do things that you've never done to get them. So to just, take this leap of faith, pretty much start my own company as Rob's 2 cents. This is beautiful. And even though I'm not making money from it, I'm definitely educating myself on, how the game works and, getting that precious camera time and hours of film that I can show people. This is my highlight tape. So I love you guys, man. Make sure you guys like the video, share the video, subscribe to the video if you're watching it here on YouTube. Hit the notification bell so you get alerted every time a new episode of Rob's 2 cents is available. Also, if you listen on Spotify and iTunes, download, comment. Let me know what you think, man. I love to get your feedback. Hey, even constructive criticism is beautiful. If you don't tell me what I'm doing wrong, I would never know, right? Also, follow your boy on social media. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Twitter. You can follow the Rob's 2 cents podcast pages, or you can follow my personal page, Robert Scott, on Facebook. I pop up as Robert Great One Scott. So, man, I love for you guys to just add me as friends. I continue to support. I really love you guys. Got some merch gonna be coming soon. Working on some things in the background. Working on a hat with my logo, working on a hoodie with my logo. Hey, man, we about to take this Rob 2 cent thing to the next level. And I know I won't be able to do it without you guys' help or support. So make sure you guys are on the lookout for that. As always, though, I hope you guys continue to have a great evening. Hope you guys have a great day if you're watching this Tuesday morning. And I hope you guys have a great rest of the week. Continue to be productive. Continue to set achievable goals and then go out and achieve them, baby. I love you guys. Hope you guys continue to have a great one. And you already know the slogan, baby. Oh, you be great too as well. And then we go. There's a bigger fight going on. There's a much bigger agenda than the streets. And I know sometimes it's hard to see that far in front of us. But we have to look past the illusions, look past the delusions of grandeur, and look at the bigger picture. We need to become better versions of ourselves each and every day. Fight for what you believe in. Because if you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything. We just getting started, baby. You guys know the slogan now. Hope you all have a great evening. And we go.